here to talk about Good Boy, our new album out now. It's our second record, and we're very excited about it. Car Wash, first record that we put out from this album, was definitely it felt like it was going to be a big song off the record. It was a song that we wrote about when we found out we were going to support Muna, who's my favourite band, and I was having a pretty rubbish day with the day job and was going to collect my car from the car wash and got this news from our manager and cried really uncomfortably in front of the man. So I wrote a silly song about it, and it just felt like a real an important part of the record, because you do just have these pinch yourself moments when you're in a band, and that make all of the hard work really worth it. So it felt like an important sentiment to add. We have a dance that people do at our gigs now where they do a crying in the car wash. So All Night was a song. We had like a very basic part of it from 2018. We started writing it weirdly, and then it just never quite became a song until this record. I was really sure I wanted it on this record, and just kind of finally came to fruition. So it was kind of a bit of a labor of love, but I think with this record, what was really important to us was making it joyful, making it queer, and that song just gives all of those things for me. And it's fun. We wanted some more songs that like people could really dance to, and I think that does that. So Swim is definitely the most special record to me on the album. It's about my journey of like learning and exploring my own gender and my identity, and coming out as non-binary last year. And I think you kind of assume that when you're an adult, or for me, like when I was in my 30s, I assumed I'd have everything figured out, and really don't. Even to the point that I'm still discovering really massive parts of myself. And so I kind of wrote Swim as like a bit of a love letter to my younger self, to be like, it's okay, and this is what's going to happen, and just offering that like gentleness and support that I needed to get to where I am now. Tell me I'm a good boy, tell me I'm good. Tell me what you want, but you're dying that you could. I know that you're scared, but I wish that you would. Tell me I'm good, tell me I'm good. I knew the album was going to be called Good Boy before I wrote the song Good Boy, which was funny. I just knew it felt right, and that's what inspired the song. And I've grown up around dogs. Like, dogs have been, part of my family since I was born. So I've always wanted to have like dogs involved, and I knew that I wanted that image of us holding loads of dogs, which I think comes from the fact that when I was younger I used to walk 8 dogs at once, and it worked. But it was just a funny image. So we went for that, and then the song Good Boy came out of it, which turned into like one of our favorite songs to play ever. It's a bit cheeky, it's a bit saucy, and it's just a bit silly. Like, I like the fact that on one hand it's a very like unapologetically queer and like sexy album, and on the other side it's just like, well, it's just about dogs. You can do both. I like to describe like Hell as the brat of the record. It just is a really like slightly unhealthy, bratty little song about feeling burnt from a breakup, and it's not trying to be anything else. It's but for me it was kind of the same energy that I get when I listen to Olivia Rodrigo's what's that song that I love when she's singing about being in her bedroom?
Oh no, that one.
Good for you.
Good for you. All right.
Good for you. Look at me. Like that same sort of like childish sort of rage. I love it. And I think Like Hell just was that for me. I wrote it in like 10 minutes, you know, probably shouldn't have, but here we are.
So, sidebar, you should totally be supporting Olivia Rodrigo. Can you imagine Olivia Rodrigo ARXX?
I completely agree. If you'd like to make that happen, Cassie.
Okay, I'll calls. Yeah, I'm sure she'll do it for a pack of Red Stripe, won't she?
Yeah, God. Trouble was a strange one. I think a lot of the record was like the way we wrote it was different because at the time I had vocal surgery when we were meant to be recording the album, so I couldn't talk and I couldn't sing. So we couldn't write the melody and the lyrics. So we were creating these really cool soundscapes kind of based on melody ideas I had in my head, but I couldn't get them out. So I would maybe be like, you know, kind of really quietly humming things. But in that there was a freedom to explore like different sounds. So that's why I think Trouble went so weird, and then that's how it ended up being a bit of a dance record. Just because it was all about based on feeling and how the music made you feel before the words could do that for you as well. So yeah, I was really proud of how it came out, even though for us it was a very strange turn sonically. But yeah, I like it. It's kind of feisty.
I love how you turned that really difficult time that must have been so scary for you as a performer, as a singer, to have that trouble with your voice. And I think a lot of people that would have sent them to their bedroom for a month. But you turned that into a creative opportunity. That's
yeah, I mean, I think I had to, otherwise I would have been in my bedroom for a month. You know, like it was horrifying, but I had this deadline knowing that my recovery was 6 weeks long, but in 5 weeks I knew I was going on the biggest tour of my life, and I knew that for me it wasn't an option to miss it, so I knew that I just had to focus on getting well, and I also knew that we had to write an album because I'd set a deadline in my head. So I think it's good that I had those things to keep me going, otherwise I think I could have ended up in a much darker place. Yes, so Easy's again it was a reworking of a song I wrote ages ago, and there was bits of the song that I liked and bits that I didn't feel so good about. And yeah, I really liked it. It's a vulnerable moment on the record. It's about feeling shy and not being able to like make the moves you want to in life because you feel like they're not for you, or you know, you're not good enough for things or someone. And I think a lot of the messages on the record are kind of messages I'd give to myself, but also to people in the same position, which is to just be kinder towards yourself and stop believing all the rubbish. Dublin, probably the saddest song I've ever written, I'd say. I think the whole album sits as kind of like a snapshot of where I am and where I've been for the last couple of years, which is quite nice. And it will be nice to look back on. But for me, Dublin's about like a very important person to me who passed away during the time I was like touring with the last record and stuff. And it just felt like it really needed to be included because it was so much of a part of how I am now and what's been going on for me that I think I owed it to myself to put it out there as well, because it was such a massive thing for me. And yeah, it's very sad.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. You obviously put so much of yourself into these songs. It feels like a really, really personal album.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think because the first record was more of a case of the best of all the songs I'd ever written, sort of thing. And now with this record, everything was pretty much written for this record. So it really is where I am right now, and I'm feeling all these feelings really intensely right now. So in that way, it is really, really personal, a lot more personal than the first one, for sure. It's interesting because everybody, like some other people who have reviewed the record have said that they think that that's the saddest song on the record, which I find really interesting. To me, it was like, I don't know if it's a case of this, it's an experience that everyone has, or an experience that like women have, or people aren't men, cis men, or queer people or whatever. But certainly I think those aspects affect me. But you kind of grow up thinking that certain things that happened to you when you were younger were normal, and you know, there's most people that I know could recount hundreds of experiences that they thought were normal that are actually really, really messed up. And that song for me was just me thinking about a bunch of situations that happened when I was younger that never should have happened, and that I shouldn't have grown up thinking that was okay. So it does recount some really like triggering, for some people, experiences, like a much older guy kissing me when I was younger, like really young, when I was 14. And I just really thought that was normal, like to the point that when it happened to me when I was younger, I didn't see the problem. And now I look back and think that's really fucked up. You should never have done that. I shouldn't have been in that situation. And yeah, I just wanted to write a song and be angry about the fact that that happens to so many people. They were expected to just get on with it and not acknowledge how weird certain things are, you know. So Baby Berlin, again, I wrote it when I was in Germany, but I wasn't in Berlin. It was just about a really difficult situation that me and an ex were going through. But the situation felt very like strangely tied to the places we were, that I found really interesting. And yeah, there was another situation where sonically we explored different areas, and I think it's quite a lot softer than things we've done before, and I really enjoyed that. I'm not sure there's much guitar on that song, but even that, you know, it was a really fun, creative, different challenge for me.
How does the songwriting work with you and Clara?
It used to be that I would bring a complete song to Clara and then we'd figure it out. And then we started exploring, bringing ideas, and she would bring drum parts. So for instance, our song Deep from the first record was written because she had this really cool drum part. So we kind of have mixed it up, and then again with this album we've had to find new ways to write again, because I've had to write, just like start with a chord progression, and then, you know, Clara builds that, and then me kind of be like, I roughly know where I want that melody to sit, but I couldn't communicate that. So I think it's now become quite free flowing, and I like that we have a lot of different strings to our bow in that sense. But when it boils down, like I do the like music and like the melodies and lyrics, and Clara brings like really cool ideas in terms of rhythm and stuff. But it's really good that me and Clara have a very similar sense of like we love the same bands, and we know roughly what we want our music to do and make people feel. So I think we tend to get to the same place anyway.
Yeah, I can't imagine you two rowing ever. You just look like such.
We never
great
have.
friends.
It's so funny.
Never at all.
7-8 years we've been together. We've never had a like big blowout. We've had difficult conversations, but that's the thing with me and Clara. Like, I think there was a time in lockdown when I was really struggling and I was late to all of our meetings, and it's the most confrontational she's ever been with me. Is she called me and she was like, if I'm honest, it's a bit upsetting that you're always late. And I was like, yes, fair enough, sorry. And then we moved on, you know. Like, that's how deep it gets with me and her. Like, I think we just know we're very similar. We don't like to argue. We're both quite calm people, and I think that just works in that kind of keep each other steady, and we're not afraid to say difficult things to each other if something happens. But
that's just the ideal, isn't it? And it really comes across watching you live together. The relationship between you is just adorable. You're just, you know, such good friends, and, you know, creatively just really kind of bounce off each other.
Oh, thank you. I mean, if you can't love what you're doing, you know, music's not a forgiving career. You have to love it to be in it. And that's always like when people ask us what advice would you give to people starting out in bands, it's just do it with your best friends, because you can learn your instruments. You can't learn to be best friends, you know. Well, thank you so much, Cassie. It's been lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. Have a great day.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye, Ellen. Bye.
Bye.